Let me show you a quick top-down analysis to define your direction of bias. So when doing top-down analysis, we normally start from the weekly time frame. So we'll start from the weekly time frame. I'm using my MetaTrader 5. So on the weekly, we can see that the market has been breaking structure to the downside, and we can clearly say that the market is on a downtrend. So for it to be on a downtrend, we'll mark this last break of structure here. So this is the last break of structure that we had here. Let me mark it here. Let me save these points. Paste. Done. Save. So that was the last break of structure to the downside for it to. So that means if the market will turn bullish if it takes out that high, because that high, it was created after the market broke structure to the downside here. So if the market remains below this high, that means the market is bearish. So on the weekly, we have it has given us structure that the market is bearish. So we'll go to the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we will mark these zones here. What is the daily telling us? So we can see that on the daily, we had these break of structure to the upside. We had this break of structure to the upside. So the market was on this zone was currently bullish, and you can see this was the last break of structure there to the upside. So let me mark it well with a straight line. So that was the last break of structure to the upside, and the market later gave a change of character to the downside by taking out that low. Let me mark it again. So the market gave a change of character by taking this low that broke structure to the downside. So that means that the daily turned from bullish to bearish. So, and we can see that on the weekly, if you take your Fibonacci retracement, we can see that from that high to this low, we can see that the market is at premium. So we normally sell at premium and buy at discount. So you can see that the market, after breaking structure to the downside, the market went back to premium, and it's now giving those sales according to the daily time frame and the weekly time frame. So let me delete this so that the chart can look clean. So we can see that on the daily, we saw that the market was making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. But here the market changed that trend, but when it took this low here and it turned bearish. So the weekly is bearish and the daily is bearish. So let's go to the 4 hour. So here is where the market turned bearish. Okay, so on the 4 hour, after we had this break of structure on the daily low, which was broken here, we can see that the market on the 4 hour was the last break of structure to the upside. This was the last to the downside here. This was the last break of structure on the 4 hour to the downside here. So the market up to here was bearish. From here, the market started creating higher lows and higher highs. So on this zone, on this point, so of the 4 hour turned bullish, and it was creating higher lows and higher highs, and this was the last break of structure here, valid break of structure to the upside here. Okay, that was the last break of structure on the 4 hour to the upside, and we can see that the market plummeted to the downside and took out that low here, and we can clearly see that the market on the 4 hour has turned bearish, now. So what are we expecting on this bearish on this plummetion to the downside here? you can see that the market moved with impulsive candles to the downside, thus shifting the structure from bullish to bearish. So you can see that weekly is bearish, daily is bearish, and the 4 hour is now bearish. So all we are looking for is for sell entries. So therefore you can take like your fib retracement zones here. First we can mark these, what we have here. We can see the eyes, we can see these these impulsive candles to the downside left an imbalance. So, and we know that market normally feels an imbalance when it leaves it behind. So the market may come back. It's not a must, but we want to look for sales when the market comes to fill this imbalance. And you can see that this imbalance is on, if you take the Fibonacci retracement, we can see that this imbalance sits on premium, and we normally sell at premium zone. So premium is when the market is above 50 and above, and discount is when price is below 50 to 0. Okay, so currently I'm waiting for sell entry. Once the market feels this imbalance here, feels this imbalance, I will lower down to my 1 hour and look for a structure shift to the downside. So you can see that currently the market is creating higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows, and if it continues creating these higher highs, I will just wait the market to turn bearish on the 1 hour, and then I will take my entry. That's how top down analysis is done. So currently I'm only looking for sales on USD CHF.